Welcome to Crossroads of Faith. Today we're going to sit with a big question. Why do people believe in God? Not just, does God exist? But, why do so many men and women, across centuries and continents, answer yes to that question? And also, why do others not believe at all? It's not a debate, and it's not a shouting match. Think of it more like a quiet conversation at the end of the day. Respectful, open, thoughtful. I'll speak especially from a Christian and Catholic point of view. But wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Let's begin. This question of belief is one of the most profound human questions, and the answers are as varied as humanity itself. There isn't a single path that leads every person to faith, nor is there a single roadblock that turns every person away. The journey is deeply personal, weaving together our minds, our hearts, and the worlds we grow up in. We can think about these paths in a few different ways: the rational, the emotional, and the cultural. First, let's consider the rational reasons. These are the arguments of the mind, the attempts to understand the world through logic and evidence. For many, the very existence of the universe is a powerful pointer. They ask themselves, why is there something rather than nothing? The fact that anything exists at all, stars, planets, life, consciousness, can feel like a profound mystery that science alone doesn't fully answer. Science can explain the how with incredible detail, from the Big Bang to the mechanics of a cell. But for many believers, the question of why remains. Why this universe, with these laws, and not another? This leads them to posit a first cause, an uncaused cause that set everything in motion. In the Christian tradition, this is God, understood not as a component within the universe, but as the very ground of being itself, the source from which all reality flows. This line of thought extends to the order and intelligibility we observe in the cosmos. The laws of physics are consistent and can be described by elegant mathematical equations. Our human minds, which are a product of this universe, have the remarkable ability to comprehend its structure. An astrophysicist can write an equation on a blackboard that accurately predicts the behavior of a galaxy millions of light-years away. For some, this harmony between the human mind and the structure of reality is not a mere coincidence. It suggests an underlying intelligence, a logos or divine reason woven into the fabric of creation. It hints that the universe was made to be known, and that we were made to be known. This is sometimes called the argument from design, not necessarily pointing to a divine watchmaker assembling pieces, but to a deeper, inherent rationality in the cosmos that finds its ultimate source in a divine mind. Another rational path is through morality. We all have a sense of right and wrong. Even across vastly different cultures, there's a shared understanding that compassion is good and cruelty is evil, that justice is better than injustice. Where does this moral law come from? Is it just a product of evolution, a survival mechanism for social creatures? Many people find that explanation unsatisfying. The moral call to self-sacrifice, to love one's enemy, or to seek justice even at great personal cost seems to transcend mere biological programming for these believers. The existence of an objective moral law suggests a moral lawgiver. This sense of art, this deep, unshakable feeling that some things are truly right and others are truly wrong, points toward a transcendent source of goodness, a standard outside of ourselves. In the Christian and Catholic view, this is God, who is not just good, but is goodness itself. Of course, the mind can also lead people away from belief. For many atheists and agnostics, these same rational faculties point in the opposite direction. They see the argument from a first cause and ask, well, what caused God? They look at the order in the universe and see it not as evidence of a designer, but as the natural outcome of physical laws playing out over billions of years, a process understandable without recourse to the supernatural. They argue that the universe may simply be a brute fact, with no deeper why to be found. The problem of evil is perhaps the most significant rational obstacle for many. If a good and all-powerful God exists, why is there so much suffering in the world? Why do children get sick? Why are there natural disasters, wars, and famines? For many, the sheer scale and randomness of suffering make the idea of a loving, omnipotent creator seem implausible, even incoherent. While theologians have offered responses for centuries from free will to the idea of a greater, unseen good for many thoughtful people, these answers fall short in the face of raw, undeniable pain. But belief is not just a matter of the head. It is also a matter of the heart. These are the emotional and experiential reasons for faith. Life is filled with moments of profound awe and wonder, standing on a mountain peak under a canopy of stars, hearing a piece of music that moves you to tears, or holding a newborn child for the first time. In these moments, some people feel a sense of transcendence, a feeling of being connected to something much larger than themselves. It's a sense of profound gratitude, beauty, and mystery that words can't fully capture. For many, this feeling is an encounter, however brief, with the divine. It's an intuition that the beauty and goodness we experience in the world are not just random chemical reactions in our brains, but echoes of a deeper, more fundamental reality, an echo of God. The heart's journey to faith can also be found in the search for meaning and purpose. We all ask ourselves, at some point, what is my life for? Is it just to be born, to work, to have a family, and then to cease to exist? Many people feel a deep longing for a purpose that extends beyond their own finite lifespan. Faith can provide a powerful answer to this yearning, the belief that you were created by a loving God for a specific purpose can give life a profound sense of direction and significance. It reframes everyday struggles and joys as part of a larger, cosmic story. This is not just a comforting thought. It can be a transformative force, providing strength in times of hardship and a moral compass for navigating life's choices. For a Christian, this purpose is found in a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, a call to love and to serve, with the hope of an eternal life that gives ultimate meaning to our earthly existence. Conversely, personal experience can also lead people away from God. For someone who has prayed earnestly for a sick loved one, only to see them die, the silence from heaven can be deafening. It can feel like abandonment. The experience of being hurt by a religious community or its leaders can create deep wounds, leading to a rejection not just of the institution, but of the faith it represents. For others, a life filled with happiness, success, and strong human connections may simply not present a need for God. They find meaning and fulfillment in their relationships, their work, and their contribution to humanity. The God-shaped hole that some believers describe is simply not an experience they share. Their emotional and experiential life feels complete without any reference to the divine. Finally, we must acknowledge the powerful role of culture and community. We are not born into a vacuum. We are raised in families, educated in schools, and live within societies that have their own assumptions and traditions about belief. For many people around the world, faith is simply part of the air they breathe. They grow up with religious rituals, stories, and a community that reinforces a particular worldview. Belief is inherited, passed down through generations. This doesn't mean their faith is superficial or unthinking. For many, it is a rich and living tradition that provides identity, belonging, and a shared framework for understanding life. The community prays together, celebrates together, and mourns together. This shared life can be a powerful testament to the reality of God, as the believer sees the fruits of faith, charity, hope, forgiveness lived out in the people around them. On the other hand, for someone growing up in a secular society or a non-religious family, the default position may be disbelief. Religious claims can seem strange, ancient, and disconnected from the modern world of science and technology. In such a cultural context, believing in God can feel like a countercultural choice, one that requires a person to step outside the mainstream. The community in this case might be a secular one, where meaning is found in humanism, scientific progress, and ethical living without reference to a higher power. Just as a religious community can support faith, a secular community can support and normalize a life without it. The pressure to conform, or the simple lack of exposure to a compelling vision of faith, can be a significant cultural factor in unbelief. So, why do people believe, and why do they not? As we've seen, there is no single simple answer. It is a complex tapestry woven from the threads of reason, the feelings of the heart, and the fabric of our culture. A person might be drawn to belief through a philosophical argument, confirmed in that belief by an experience of profound peace in prayer, and sustained in it by a loving community. Another person might be pushed away by the problem of evil, find emotional fulfillment in their secular life, and have that unbelief reinforced by a culture that views faith as outdated. This exploration is not about deciding who is right and who is wrong. It is about understanding. It is about recognizing the sincere and thoughtful paths that lead different people to different conclusions. For the believer, it can be an invitation to appreciate the deep roots of their own faith, For the non-believer, it can be a window into the perspectives of their neighbors. And for those who are searching, it is a reminder that you are not alone in asking these great questions. Wherever you find yourself on this path, whether in firm belief, in honest doubt, or somewhere in between, the journey itself is part of what it means to be human. It is a journey of the mind and the heart, a search for truth, meaning, and our place in the cosmos. Let's keep the conversation going.